What's going on, everyone? It's Talks with Kenny here today. It's Live with Kenny, episode 52. I'm a little tired. Thanks for everyone for the best wishes about the accident. I'm recovering well. My wife's still having nagging soreness from the accident, but luckily nothing's broken. Me and my family are safe. I really appreciate you guys, your best wishes, and being understanding about me keep switching the schedule. And I feel awfully, hey, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I'm pretty tired this week. It's been a rough week trying to find a new car. Hey, look, I forgot how hard it is to find a car. I forgot how stressful finding a car was, man. I don't miss it at all, but I appreciate you guys, your patience as I kind of figure my way out of this thing. But let's get back to what you actually care about. A lot of news happened today, with the Daily Wire, the alleged gag order against Candace Owens, and that mishap. I don't really want to speak about it too much. I just think I want to wait until more information comes out. But it seems, based on, no one came out against it, it seems to be true, right? So I want to talk about Joe Biden calling a U.S. ally, Japan, and India. I'm not sure. India is not really an ally, but they call them xenophobic nations because they do not welcome immigrants. And this is going to go tie into my topic of today's live stream. The political elite think we're dumb. I think they really believe that we're not paying attention. We don't have a long memory. And I think, the reason why they feel boastful in this attitude is the fact that they control education, right? I'm just saying the bureaucrats in the Department of Education controls literally what access information that majority of American students are taught. And you're taught to believe, hey, believe the authority, believe the people in power, right? And I'll show you why it seems like journalists are always in the pocket of the Democratic Party and some politicians, right? So let's read into this article and then I'll give more of my thoughts about it later on. Excuse me. President Joe Biden has called Japan and India xenophobic countries that do not welcome immigrants, lumping the two with adversaries China and Russia as he tries to explain their economic circumstances and contrast the four with the U.S. immigration. The remarks on a campaign fundraising event Wednesday evening just came 3 weeks after the White House hosted Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida for a lavish official visit, during which the two leaders celebrated what Biden called an unbreakable alliance, particularly on global security matters. Now, this is something that I'm going to point reference to how the political elite in our country think we're stupid. One country, Japan, has a record like these people. They don't experience crime the same way the U.S. does. More diverse countries do, right? It's because they have such a strong stance on immigration. Now, with any path, with any idea, there's trade-offs. There's no perfect solutions, only trade-offs. Look at the trade-offs Japan is taking. Hey, we don't allow people who are not really ethnically aligned with our culture, with our people. You don't speak our language, you ain't working here. Look at the crime rates. Look at the crime rates of Japan. If you look at the safest countries in the world, all of them are almost homogenous in culture, language, tradition, ethnicity. This is reality. The safest place, I believe, is Finland. What do the population look like in Finland? I'll wait. This is why you get when people. This is the problem with the Democratic Party and a lot of politicians. They think you're stupid. They go, they try to hide the fact that they have a political motive for bringing in people into our country, right? Hey, cheap labor for our big corporate, their big corporate donors, and it seemed like this is the game that a lot of politicians are playing. Is that they're trying to look good in front of people, just like the Daily Wire is trying to look good in front of people, but in the background, they're here putting gag orders on someone they know they can't fight back. It's the same game the politicians are playing. They know the donors really have sway in the party. They know the donors really have control over what they actually do, what they actually advocate for. But they know they can't get votes. They can't win without the votes of the common person. So what they do, hey, we're going to play these games, hey, strongly worded letters, right? But the minute someone do something to our mega donors who happen to have strong allegiance to Israel, they have a strong interest in Israel, we want a virtue signal and look tough in front of them so they can continue getting what? More money. Just like I say, the Democrats have a motive for wanting illegal immigrants to continue flooding in this country because that is future Democratic votes. That gives them more population numbers, so that way they get more seats in the House. That gives them more what? Political power. Like, there's a political motive here, but no. They want to pretend, oh, we're doing good. We're doing good by these people. Even though if you look at the studies, if you look at the data suggests that there's billions of people who are poor. And these poor people around these countries are reproducing at a faster rate than we can immigrate them. The reality is world poverty will never be solved by immigration, no matter how open we become. The only thing that open mass migration will do is hamper and pigeonhole the country that's importing these people, because these people didn't create a prosperous culture. Now, I'm not saying that all immigrants are going to be a drain on the system, but I believe asylum seeking isn't a human right. This is where the whole thesis and the whole, I guess, differences of views come with the conservative and the liberal. The conservative says, hey, you don't have a right to me welcome you in my house, aka my country. A liberal say, no, this is the most humane thing you do. Why not put people who are in a poor situation, put them in a better situation? What if you put that person, bringing that person into the country is at the expense of everyone else? Tax dollars are subsidizing a lot of what these immigrants are coming into. Work permits. If you allow a mass amount of supply, aka labor, to come into the market, you hurt the wages of the people who are already there. Make it make sense. This is why Democrats in the past, in the 90s, I forget the guy's name, they used to go cross the border in Mexico and beat up migrants who try to, illegal immigrants who try to cross the border illegally, because the labor unions understand that if you have a lot of these low wage labor out there, it's going to hurt the citizenship, the citizens. And this is where the nationalist in me starts coming out, is that you have to look out for the interests of your own citizenry. And I believe Japan is doing this. And because Japan's not doing the same stuff that the US is doing, this is where the critique is coming from. Because I bet you, not the world of words where politicians love. The politicians love this world, the world of words. All you got to do is say things. You don't have to do anything. When the results come in, you see the results. Low crime rates. Japan barely have any theft. Right? What happened with, I forgot his name. Donald Trump, I forgot his name. Not LaMelo Ball. I forgot his brother's name. Damn, I forgot his name. LiAngelo Ball. When the UCLA players who came to, I think it was China, actually. I'm mistaken there. They came in, they stole something. They immediately knew it was them. They're like, come on, people don't steal Gucci glasses in China. Who does that? And literally, this is what I kind of want to replicate here in the United States of America. But the only way we can have a culture like that, where we're unified, we have a shared social fabric, is if we get past identity politics. And I think this is the biggest, virus in America politics today, identity politics. Because we can't have a homogenized culture like that. We can, imagine if, bear with me on this little thought experiment. Imagine a world where all Americans saw each other as one nation, right? We don't see color, right? Or at least color doesn't matter as much as black people want color to matter, right? This is a dream world. We all have pride in our country. We all want the best for our countries, our communities, right? We help each other willfully, not forced by tax dollars and all this other ish. We have a unified culture. We have a shared foundation, a shared vision of how the world should be. I bet you crime will be a lot better in this America versus this America that we're living in today, that is divided based on identity, based on immutable traits that you had no control over in the first place. Imagine being proud of something you never had any control of. I'm a proud black man. What that mean? What you proud of? You're proud of you. Imagine if I say I'm a proud male. Look at me. You'll call me a chauvinist. But we don't call black people that. We don't call people who lead with their race that. Make it make sense. But this is what feminists do. This is what these race hustlers do, because they know, hey, there's more money in division than in unity. Democrats even admitted themselves. They know they can't win an election if we're all united, if we all have a common goal. Because a lot of the policies they advocate for, the results of these policies do not do the nation good. How is spending a lot of money that you don't have, putting the future citizens of your country into further and further debt for the benefit of foreign nations, how is that objectively helping your team, aka your nation, aka your country? Make it make sense. A lot of Democrat policies do not follow this tagline. And this is one of the most frustrating things about this whole Israel Palestine stuff, is that people are more passionate about things that has nothing that doesn't directly affect them, but things that do directly affect them, they don't really care about. Like, we're still talking about Israel and Gaza. Ukraine is in the background. Like, no one supports Ukraine. Now everyone's battling. Now you got congressmen from both parties pushing bills to restrict the citizens' ability to criticize a foreign country, a foreign government. Make it make sense. Make that make sense to me. And then Jewish people get mad when people play into this idea or this trope of dual loyalty. Like imagine the criticism I would give if I say, oh, yeah, you guys got to send $5 billion to Haiti. Like, people will say, if let's say I was a congressman and then you see I keep supporting bills for foreign aid that happens to benefit Haiti, and you call me out for that. Oh, Kenny's a Haitian American. Even though I'm not really a Haitian American because I'm not from Haiti. I don't have a Haitian citizenship. I'm all American here. But let's play this in pretend world I did. If you criticize me for having dual loyalties, I'm not going to sit back and call you a racist. I'm be like, oh, I can see why you think that. I just believe it's in America's interest to help Haiti, right? That's the framework I think our government should be working on, but that's not what their framework is currently in 2024, right? The White House welcomed Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, I don't know how to say his name right, for a state visit last summer. Japan is a critical U.S. ally, and India, one of the world's fastest growing economies, which technically can replace China when it comes to the manufacturing, cheap labor market. But I digress. And their technology hub is going to be important in the futures to come. So India's Biden's doing things that would essentially piss off India. And is a vital partner in the Indo-Pacific despite differences on human rights. On a fundraiser where the donor audience was largely Asian American, Biden said that the upcoming U.S. election was about freedom, America, and democracy. The Democrats don't believe in none of that. Freedom for their political party, democracy for their political party. Both candidates, I don't keep saying this point until I'm blue in the face. Both candidates, Biden and Trump, both of them had, during the beginning of the year, unfavorable polls. People wanted new options. Republicans listen and say, okay, let's throw new options. Democrats listen and say, no. The voter's going to vote for who we want to vote for. And the attitude of the Democrat Party, I think, is what slowly is becoming the norm in our political class. And this is why I say that politicians don't respect these people who still vote for them and say, oh, we're going to hold them accountable. How are you going to hold them accountable without actually not voting for the people? Make it make sense. And the one time Democrats will actually be held accountable is for reasons not doing with their policies, not with their the results or the lack of results from their policies or their implementations of their vision or ideals. No, it's because of the stance that they have against about a foreign conflict miles away from the domestic affairs of the United States. Imagine that. That's a sad reality to say. That's sad. But I digress. I spent 13 minutes talking about this. But end of the day, the results speak for itself. Hey, their country is safer than ours. Japan is safer than the U.S. Well, hey, they may not have they may not have diversity. But like I said, in this reality, there's no perfect solution. There's no perfect way. There's no best way. There's only trade-offs. What trade-offs are we willing to have? I honestly believe that we can mitigate a lot of the negatives of having like a diverse group of people in a country is if we do not put so much importance on identity. But in this culture that we live in today, where the left constantly push seeing color, we'll never have that vision of a unified country. Because people always talk about, oh my God, more people die here. We have more gun deaths than Finland. But they never want to recognize that Finland is ethnically 94% one race, one group of people, one culture, one language. While in the U.S., they're trying to make this like a economic zone or something. This is why when Vivek comes out and he speaks, oh, we all should be English. Everything should be English. We shouldn't be trying to cater to other people from foreign lands. They have to adapt to us, not we have to cater to them. And I think it's this slow march to the institution, which I'm going to get into further, because I think education plays a big part into why this has happened. But I digress. We're going to talk more about immigration. Donald Trump's claiming immigration has left Saudi Khan's London unrecognizable after Europe opened its doors to jihad and vows never to let that happen in the United States. Sorry, guys. I'll let this video play out and let's go. Oops. Nothing's working today. That's crazy. All right, here you go.
Open their doors to jihad. Look at Paris. Look at London. They're no longer recognizable. And I'm going to get myself into a lot of trouble with the folks in Paris and the folks in London. But you know what? That's the fact. They are no longer recognizable. And we can't let that happen to our country. We have incredible culture, tradition. Nothing wrong with their culture, their tradition. We can't let that happen here. And I'll never let it happen to the United States of America.
And this is the reality of immigration. Like, yeah, you can say, hey, you get some new good things. You can import other things. But as a conservative, you want to conserve the things that work and don't conserve the things that don't work. And America being the most prosperous, being such a powerful nation, we got that way following our traditions, following our culture. And now you want now the left want us to forget about our culture that made us one of the most powerful, one of the most successful countries in human history, being the youngest country in human history. Yet we're supposed to give up all our culture and placate to people of foreign lands whose culture and traditions didn't produce one of the most powerful nations in the world at a faster rate than these countries that have been around for centuries. US is like, what, 200 years old. A lot of these kingdoms, like the UK, thousands of years. Russia, thousands of years. Europe, thousands of years they existed. Yet the most powerful country right now in the world is America, who's considered what? The youngest nation in the entire globe. But we're supposed to sacrifice our culture. No. Our culture is not worth preserving. We got to preserve Indian cultures about their two spirits and all other stuff. Oh, we kill these people. Like, this is why I really don't get into the morality of, oh, we got to give them back their land. I'm like, okay, give them back their land, but let's destroy everything that the U.S. have did on that land. Like, would the land have any value if the Indians had full ownership of the whole thing? It's the same thing with a car, not a car. It's the same thing with a basketball team. Like, this is a good analogy. When you had that team, the team sucked. The team couldn't play at its best because you wanted to be a player, whatever, and you couldn't get the most out of that team. If you put someone else in that team and they're a perfect fit, they're a better fit for that team goes to the championship. You're like, yo, all they did was I removed myself from the situation and they're a better team because they had someone else because the other person was more compatible. It's the same thing as human capital. So the Indians may say, oh, this land once belonged to us, but you didn't build the infrastructure that was sitting on top of that land. You didn't know how to utilize the resources that you had available to you at that land. And this was one of the facts that a lot of people don't want to admit. And a lot of people, like black people, like to get mad at the fact that when you make the claim that they benefited from slavery, we're not talking about the actual people who were slaves. We're talking about their descendants. Because you would have never been here if the person was never made a slave. Technically, you benefited off the suffering of your ancestors. You didn't have to take no whip. You didn't have to face no discrimination at their level. You didn't have to get lynched. But all the benefits, you get the benefit from all the sacrifices, all the struggle of all the black people in the past. And then you want to sit here and pretend that you deserve reparations? Craziness. But, I digress. I'm done moping on this point. So I'm going to get on Nancy Pelosi because this is one of the reasons why I think our political elites think we're dumb, honestly, is they think they can just gaslight you into believing anything they want you to believe, right? And I notice this works mostly on Democrat voters because they tend to think more on their feelings. Like they tend to be the more empathetic people, if I were to be honest, because I think conservatives believe in strength, right? You want to raise strong people, while the liberals, they think about self-esteem, people's feelings. This is why they don't want to say truth if it's going to offend somebody. And they play into that. They try to emotionally guilt trip you into following along with their agenda. That's why they don't have any arguments to really debate really on the factual matter of the things. Or they rely on narratives, obfuscation. Like they obfuscate things that happen to be inconvenient to a narrative or a view that they're trying to sell to the American people. Because at the end of the day, that's what politics has become because of the populace, right? Now, people may get offended about that, but that's why I say I can't really blame politicians because at the end of the day, politicians, the only incentives that politicians have is how can I stay in power? If staying in power for a politician was make substantive debates, pass good policies, Hey, the American people, they're gonna evaluate us on our results. They don't care about how we spin the narrative around our policies. If our policies are giving bad results, we're done. If the American citizen was voting based on that, we'll get different kinds of politicians. We want to get politicians who are just full of good for fluff words, word salads, say a whole lot of nothing, tell you sweet nothings. Oh, we'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to tell you what we're going to do. But people pass what? 2 legislation? I don't know how many legislation they pass, but most of these bills that they pass, it seems like they go to foreign adversaries. They go to foreign affairs that the American people don't have no direct benefit from. So here's Nancy Pelosi. She was talking about Trump and how he lost so many jobs, how bad his economy was, ignoring or obfuscating or omitting the fact that it was during COVID. And this is one of kind of, now I want to say a mask off moment, but this is an example of how, if you're not aware, if you don't have a long memory, this is how they try to get one over on you, right? Think of a politician like a car salesman, right? You know he's trying to get you to pay the most that he can for the car, right? You know he has a big markup on the car. I'm saying this because I just finished buying a car, right? But yo, look, it's not that expensive. Come on, bro. This is a politician. But I digress. Let's watch the video.
And Joe Biden is doing that. Created 9 million jobs in his term in office. Donald Trump has the worst record of job loss of any president. So we just have to make sure people know.
That was a global pandemic.
He had the worst record of any president. We've had other concerns in our country. If you want to be an apologist for Donald Trump, that may be your role. But it ain't.
There goes the gaslighting, right? You call them out on something. Hey, look, you're omitting something. You're leaving something out. Hey, you have to remember there's certain circumstances, right? Because God forbid a pandemic happened during Joe Biden's watch. Like I can make the same argument, right? Joe Biden had the most COVID deaths as president of the United States of America, more than Trump. And he got the tail end of COVID. I can play that narrative too. But all the excuses will come out for the Democratic Party. And this is one of the biggest problems I have with this political inconsistencies. Political elites play this game. MSNBC, far left news network, and you're calling one of their anchors an apologist for Trump. When you're blatantly lying, where you're saying stuff where people already understand the context. 2020 happened. You can't deny that 2020 happened. You can't deny that everyone was locking down. That's what caused the job loss. Joe Biden's job numbers are fluffed up because most of the jobs being created are using taxpayer dollars to create them, aka their government jobs. 86,000 IRS agents, anyone? That's probably helping his job numbers too. But how is that actual growth? Because you're taking more from the private sector, because the private sector is what gives you the tax funds. But if you're using tax funds to generate more jobs, like what value is the government really creating? This is the argument. This is why I say the government doesn't create anything. It's merely there as administrative power, administrative state. It's not meant to create anything. The government doesn't produce anything. If most of your job numbers are coming, a big significant amount of your job numbers are coming from government jobs, you're essentially saying, hey, private sector, you're paying for jobs for the public sector too. And if you want the job growth to continue, we got to take more taxes from the private sector. But no new wealth is being generated in the country. This is why socialism always brings economic poverty to everybody. So another example, I don't know, I'm going through a list right now, right? Another example how the political elite thinks its citizens is dumb. Here is a chairman of the Council of Economic Affairs for Joe Biden. And let's listen to what he has to say, because a lot of people on the right, conservatives, have a big problem with what he has to say. And let's see if I come to the same conclusion as well. Let's go.
The U.S. government can't go bankrupt because we can print our own money.
Printing of your own money. I already told you, there's no free lunches in this world. Sorry, not sorry. You could print more money, okay, but how are you going to print more money? Printing more money equals AKA putting yourself in more debt, right? Imagine you make $50K a year, but you say, hey, I could get a loan for $100,000 a year. So technically, I can never go bankrupt. I can never go poor.
But what you do know is eventually, if you keep doing that, right? If you keep overspending more than what you're making, you keep putting out loans to live up to some lavish lifestyle that you can't afford on your own, eventually the bills come due. Hey, it's time to pay for that bill no more. When the loans stop coming, a consequence hit. And printing money, what's the natural consequence of printing money? Inflation. Your value of your dollar losing buying power. That's the reality of printing money. They act like end of the day, value cannot be created out of thin air. Value has to be valued by someone else. And if that value is not being backed up by a product, a service, because what the government is really doing for you, that's what I'm saying. The government is a glorified manager of resources. That's it. It doesn't produce the resources. All it knows how to do is take resources. And then when it runs out of resources to manage, it has to take it more. It has to take more. And who are they going to take more from? God forbid that the rich leave. I already told you the scenario. Story time. There once was a country that said, hey, we're going to raise the tax on the rich to 90%. We're going to take 90% of their income. And one of the rich told all his rich fans, I'm tired of this ish. America is a dying country. It's a legacy country. It's relying on its laurels of the past. It's relying on its past glory. And it's doing everything because it's America. It's relying on the American brand. That they think we're going to stay here and tolerate them taking 90% of my hard-earned money. I revoke my citizenship. Every rich person in the world, every rich person in America revoked their American citizenship. That means what? They got to get deported out of the United States. Okay, they say bye. They go somewhere else. And then when that tax bill come in, pass, legislated, everyone cheers, because, there's more poor people than rich people. Rich people are a minority in this country, right? Y'all cheer. 90% of the rich. We'll get $500 trillion of income for our government. Now we could get free healthcare, universal this, universal that. And a year passed by after this bill passed. And then you found out that tax revenue is actually down for the government. The government has to make cuts to welfare, Section 8, all the social welfare programs. Social Security got heavily impacted, heavily reduced. And everyone's like, what's going on? We have a 90% tax on the rich. What's going on? Where the money's going to come from? That's the government scenario. You can print more money, sure. But how are you going to pay that back? And then when other countries say, the United States can't pay back its debt, now you really stuck. Now you really stuck. You got this big bill. No other countries are willing to loan you money because they don't see how you can possibly pay back that loan. And you fall into what? Financial collapse. Printing money is akin to pushing the problem down the road, pushing the problem to future generations. How I grew up, right? I grew up in, relatively, I'll say low middle class, right? My mom didn't make a lot of money. I grew up in the hood, and the lifestyle that my kids enjoy now is way better than mine objectively. They got access to more resources. They have access to more activities than I did as a kid. Activities for me was go outside and figure out how to make a game for myself. Like let me go play basketball. Let me go do this. My son, 3 years old, I'm taking him to soccer practice. I'm going to spend money on his tutoring. He got a stay-at-home mom. He can do whatever conceivably he want. We go to little parks around Central Florida. I didn't have that as a kid because my idea is you want to pass on more than what you got initially. But in our political class, they think backwards. Extract as much resources from the country and leave as little as possible to the future generation. And this is the reality of printing money. Because when you hear free stuff, think inflation. When you hear free stuff, think, hey, this money came from someone else. How to best utilize it. But the government don't think this way because the problem with government is they pay no negative consequences for being wrong. I bet you if government ran like a business, if government took a negative, let's say we hit a recession. If a recession hit, this is me. Look, if Kenny was president, this is what a bill I would put. If the economy is designated as a recession, we take the hit. The Congress, president, everybody in the government will take a hit salary wise because we're like, yo, the American people are struggling right now. There's no possible way we could justify taking tax money from them. I'll reduce all taxes across the board, maybe by half. So that way the government gets punished from meddling in the private sector. It puts an incentive for, hey, let's make sure no recession happens. And they don't get to control the designation. It's the numbers, it's the results that do. Hey, two cycles of negative GDP growth, recession indicator. Because to me, it's baffling that whether there's a recession, not a recession, I mean, they still take a tax cut because obviously revenues will be down. Less revenues equals less tax dollars. But this is the problem that I have, that we give too much control over the economy to people who have no competencies in the economy. This is my thoughts.
It obviously begs the question, why exactly are we borrowing in a currency that we print ourselves? I'm waiting for someone to stand up and say, why do we borrow our own currency in the first place?
Like you said, they print the dollar. So why does the government even borrow?
Well, again, some of this stuff
don't make sense. Like, why take a loan off of yourself? Like imagine this. Imagine if you can create your own value. Like, imagine you had a bank account and you know you can add a digit and everyone will respect what that money was worth. So you had $3,000 and you say, hey, I'm gonna borrow against my future self $30,000. But you know, hey, I could pay this back in 10 years, but you continually keep borrowing against your future self. Eventually you're gonna hit a limit. And that is the state of the US economy. This is why he can't explain, hey, why are we allowed to borrow our own money against ourselves? Like, how is that possible? Essentially, we're doing IOUs, and the only reason people respect our IOUs is because we're in America. We're the world reserve currency. That means we're backed by what? Nothing. A promise. In my view, this is one of the reasons why I think America is such there's so much interventionist in our political class, is because technically the reality is I think our dollar is actually backed by our military might. Oh, you want our military? You got to pay us in our dollars. I think this is the one reason why we still maintain our strength as the world reserve currency. Even though we're not backed by gold, we're backed by guns. We're backed by our military. This is why I think our political class have such a interventionist streak. Because people will see, oh, the government, the U.S. will back us up. Oh, this is why we got to get involved. This is why we got to be the world's police. And if the world police said, I only accept payment in U.S. dollars, everyone's forced to what? Pull U.S. dollars, even if they're printing more. They say, hey, U.S. is only going to take U.S. dollars. They're only going to sell us their state-of-the-art weaponry in U.S. dollars. So we have to convert our currency to get the U.S. dollars. And this is how we still stay relevant, even though we're borrowing against ourselves. Russia couldn't get away with it, and this is how they got hyperinflation. The day America loses its world reserve currency will be the end of our economic prosperity, at least in this model, where the politicians can freely borrow against the future of America. I see these old people in Congress who refuse to give up power. I see it as them extracting as much resources from our country, and then leaving the youth like me, millennials, who's going to take over this crap with nothing. And then we're going to have to try to rebuild it from their mess. They have no incentive to actually pass down and make the country better than where they left it. I believe most politicians will leave the country worse than how they got into the country. Imagine that. Imagine the difference between lifestyle in 2008 versus 2024. In 2008, if you said you made six figures, people will say, damn, you're making good money. In 2008, if you was making six figures, you was making a lot of money. In 2024 now, you'll be considered middle class, making six figures. And this is the guy who's chief of the Council of Economic Advisors for President Joe Biden. No wonder we're in inflation. No wonder we're in recession in denial. This is why I call it the denial recession. We in a recession. Like, don't everything like I'm being a hard heart. Look, this is not factual. This is just how I'm feeling. I don't use that word lightly. But don't it feel like we're in a recession? This, like, if someone told you, hey, we're in a recession right now, you'll believe it. You say, yeah, we got inflation. Inflation came in at 3.5%. Jobs, we seem to be stagnating. everything's more expensive. If I told you we was in a recession, you'll believe me. The only reason you don't believe me is because everyone in the talking heads, everyone in the government said we're not in a recession. Even though if you go by the previous definition of a recession before they reimagined what a recession was, it was two quarters in a row of negative GDP growth. That was a recession. That happened in 2021. What they told us, they gaslight us and told us it wasn't a recession. Imagine that. Now by November, the way they keep going, there's no denying that they'll have to admit we're in a recession. All these people in the tech industry, which, you know, it burns cash. In good times, is good. When the economy is good, it's good to work in tech. You're good. Job security, making big money, right? A lot of money, a lot of dollars. Minute recession hits, you're the first one to go because those are speculative. They're more speculative. You see it. The economy is only doing well because of the Magnificent Seven. If you don't believe me, look it up. The Magnificent Seven. If you take out these 7 companies out of the stock market, we'll be negative. We'll be down. But oh no, we're good. Oh yeah, we're good. Nothing to worry about, folks. It's baffling to me. This is why I say, this is why I believe in age limits. I believe that your politicians should be representative of the country, right? If the retirement age of our country is what, 65 years old, then if you're a politician over the age of 65, you shouldn't be running. You shouldn't be at least not managing like the intricacies, like the House, Congress. I feel like that's for the young people. The Senate's for the older people, and the presidencies. I'll leave it there. But look, this is my logic, because I think I don't want to be ageist here. I think, you know, there's some competent people that should continue staying in power. For instance, I believe the Senate, I think to run as a senator, you need to be 30 years old at least. To be president, 35. Okay. 25 years old is the minimum age you have to be to run for Congress. I believe if you're a congressman and you're 95 years old, hey, your ass got to retire. Sorry, not sorry. Because to me, that's how it was built. The House bills are supposed to be for the uppercomers, the up-and-coming generation. And I honestly believe that this is why we're so delayed in life as millennials, as zillennials, as Gen Z, because these old baby boomers don't want to give up power. And then they have no incentive to be responsible right now because they know they're going to die in like 10, 15 years. So they won't suffer the negative consequences of their bad choices. We will. But they don't want to turn away the key. They don't want to give us the keys to the government. And then we asking a question, hey, how can we borrow money against ourselves and it still be respected? And this dude's stuttering over his words. Because printing money is like a Ponzi scheme. Someone's going to be left holding the bag. And in this case, a pile of ish. I digress. I ramble too long.
Gets some of the language that some of the language and concepts are just confusing. I mean, the government...
That's on purpose, by the way.
Definitely prints money.
Quantitative easing. What does that mean? We're borrowing money against ourselves to pay for things that we don't have money for right now. That's all it is. They create all this little jargon to gate people from understanding what's actually going on. That's why I like to try to explain things as in simple terms as I can. Thomas Sowell's gonna make an appearance in this live stream. Before I end this live stream, we're gonna see a video with Thomas Sowell, because that book, Basic Economics, bro, I think that's the only book. I think this is my thoughts, bro. Don't let me ever become president. I'm gonna be a reformist like crazy. Look, education. Hey, look, you gotta understand, as a citizen of the United States, there's 3 things I believe you should understand. You should understand your history. You should understand the economy, like how the economy works, how economic actually works, not this fluff up vision of modern monetary theory, which is this dumb idea that if the government is printing money, that it won't cause inflation, it won't cause any negative side effects because it's coming from the government. Make it make sense. Hey, look, I just report the news. Make it make sense. And the last thing I honestly believe is the Constitution, the framework in which your country was built and founded on. You need to understand, because at the end of the day, can you truly understand something without reading the manual? Answer me that question in the comment section if you're watching this on a replay. If you're in the chat, I'd like to hear some of your thoughts. Can you truly understand something without reading the manual? I'm waiting. That's what the Constitution is. Hey, the people who created this country that you're benefiting from long ago, this is the framework in which they built it. You need to understand why they built it this way before you want to make changes to it. It's like you saying, hey, I want to modify my car. But if you don't understand why the engine is here, why they use this type of engine for this type of model of car, how can you make customization to the car to make it better for a certain position if you do not understand the parts that's involved in it? This is our country. This is why I said the political elites think we're dumb, and also why I led with that video with Thomas Sowell saying that the impotent citizen will destroy this country. Because the citizen is impotent because the Department of Education made us impotent. Now, chicken or the egg problem. This is a chicken or an egg problem, I understand. What happened first? Was it the American citizen not paying attention enough that allowed the government or the Department of Education to dumb down the future generation of our kids, and given a long enough time span, we forgot everything. Not forgot everything, but we don't know enough now to know if a politician is bullishing us or not. Right? Matthew M says that's a great point. That's why they call us a democracy and not a constitutional republic. That's another example. You can find this and look, Talks with Kenny, right? I like this channel because I want my channel to be conversational. I don't want to feel like I'm just talking at people. Let's think about it this way. When there was a politician, I forgot her name, a Democrat, she went on Twitter, X, and she said, we must protect our democracy. Remember, like Benjamin Franklin said, it's a democracy, ma'am, if you can keep it. Bro, if it wasn't for Twitter, I believe some people would have thought that was an actual quote from Benjamin Franklin. Revisionist history, rewriting history. But then, God forbid, the conservatives come out with Uncle Tom telling them the truth about how blacks used to be Republicans, how black was being successful without the Democratic policies, and how the Democratic policies has destroyed the social fabric of the black community. They call black liberals will call it revisionist history, but they released 1619, historically inaccurate. Just merely painting a narrative, but they're teaching that in school. 1619 is being taught in public school, but God forbid you want to teach PragerU in elementary school. Oh my God, they're teaching political propaganda in school. What is 1619? Isn't 1619 political propaganda? But because the Department of Education, fun fact, majority of the people who work in the Department of Education are, guess what? Democrats. Guess who they donate to at an 88% clip? Democrats. So anything that's coming from the Democrat agenda, it's freely taught in school. But skepticism, resistance from anything that comes from the right. But then when you ask Kamala Harris to debate Ron DeSantis on how slavery was a benefit to black America, she don't want to have it. But then these black Democrats will be the same people to say, they're not ready for the race conversation. No, you're not ready for the race conversation. Because I bet you, if I sit with any average like black Democrat, black liberal, and we start talking about black history, and I just start going down this, hey, look, I just start going down this line of questioning. I say, hey, look, if your ancestors were slaves, do you think you will have the ability to fix your mouth and ask for reparations for something you never personally experienced? How are you gonna get rewarded for the suffering of your ancestors when their sacrifices, their struggle is what allowed you to even fix your mouth, to have the right to fix your mouth and beg for a handout? You got welfare, you got Section 8, you got affirmative action that give you special treatment based on your color of your skin, and now you want money too? How is this not coming across as greedy? They stuck. Hey, did you know that only 5% of white people in this country today has any historical ties to slavery? What? But you expect tax dollars? You expect government dollars to pay for you? Bro, the entitlement is real. But you're not ready for that conversation. When it's time to get into the nitty-gritty of the numbers, like how much money do you want to throw down the toilet to do some investigations for reparations? All of this is a Ponzi scheme. Hey, we want to take taxpayer dollars, fund our scholars, our left-wing scholars, right? We want to teach. We want to fund the Black history teacher in college. We want to teach these anti-racist people. We want to give them money for a made-up reason, right? Just like Joe Biden wasted millions of dollars trying to create research and studies to debunk that there's two genders. You heard me right. Look it up. You don't believe me? Look it up. Joe Biden wasted millions of taxpayer dollars to try to find research that could debunk that there's two genders. Tell me I'm lying. I'm waiting. But you want the government to control stuff. You want to give the government more power. To me, the government, based on the track record I've seen from the government, we should be, the American populace should be asking to shrink the government. A government so incompetent that a guy who's supposed to be the chair councilman of the economic advisors is stuttering into explaining how is it that we are allowed to print our own money, use that money for ourselves, like we're borrowing against ourselves. How does that make sense? When you go to buy a car, if you don't have the money, you got to borrow it from someone else. How are we allowed to borrow ourselves and give an IOU to the car dealership and say, here's $16,000, I'll pay it back, I promise, and take the car out, ride around, get all the value from the car, give our little payment here and there, but it's an honor system at this point. That means there's nothing really backing up the value of the dollar. And that's a vulnerable position that we are as a country. And when people said end the Fed, this is what they're talking about. Because we're giving people power to literally destroy our economy. If someone from from the economic government's Federal Reserve come out and say, hey, we're raising the interest rates to 12%, our economy will get tanked. We'll lose more jobs. Labor becomes more expensive. It'll become harder to start a business. It'll be harder for people who are trying to start their business to get business loans to actually get it going. Should one man have all that power? I forgot the song. I forgot where it comes from. But do you believe the government should have that power to be able to have such direct influence over the economy? We can artificially hold up the economy by cutting interest rates to like 2%. But the reality is you can't make money cheap right now. Because what we're going to do, we're going to exacerbate the problem. And then we'll get hyperinflation, which is what's happening now. Because Biden kept the interest rate too low for too long. And this is why we're suffering the negative consequences of inflation. Because it's a way of recorrecting itself. When we go through a recession, when we go through a bear market, it's not a bad thing. It's what needs to happen. Just like when you want to go play outside and it started raining and you go, oh man, this is bad. No, it's good because the water gets plants. You get more greenery. It may not be convenient for you because that's the reality. A recession is not convenient for the political class, especially the administration in power. So they'll do everything they have to fluff it up. Just like the oil reserves. Biden went into the oil reserves to artificially lower the gas prices during midterm election. This is why he performed so well, probably. And then he can brag about, look at my Inflation Reduction Act. It's working. When all of it is a house of cards. And this is my biggest point, is that I think gone are the days where the American people can just sit back and rely on political pundits to speak. Because at the end of the day, I found it interesting, Sonny. I found out that biased people, they fall in two camps. It's funny. Biased people tend to be very dumb and very smart. The dumb ones, they're unreasonable. No matter what you say to them, they're the college protesters on Columbia University. It's them, those people. Heavily biased people, dumb as hell. And then you got the politically, you got the smart ones that are very persuasive about pushing their agenda. I put Ben Shapiro in this camp. Ben Shapiro is very biased. But since he's very intelligent, he makes a case for why you should think like him. And people who are centered, they tend to be in the middle. I found that was an interesting correlation. Damn, I didn't know that. That's an interesting correlation. I don't know where I fall in. I think I have average intelligence. I just think I work very hard. That's it. But let's continue. I know I've been on a rant, but don't get me started on the economy, man. Because this is honestly, I think this was some of the worst thing that ever happened for the government to have this power to literally control our financial lives on words that they say. And I believe our politicians are some of the most incompetent people alive. And they're the ones that get to dictate whether recession, no recession. Oh, hell no. Hey, give it up to chance. I trust spontaneous order at this point. Libertarians, you have my ear. Spontaneous order all the way. I don't want these guys to be centralized, have the centralized power or influence over my economy. No way, no way, no way.
Money, and it definitely lends that money, which is why the government definitely prints money, and then it lends that money by selling bonds. Is that what they do?
I mean, you tell us.
They sell bonds.
Boy, talking like Joe Biden. He talking just like his president.
Yeah, they sell bonds, right? Since they sell bonds and people buy the bonds and lend them the money. Yeah, so a lot of times, at least to my ear with MMT, the language and the concepts can be kind of unnecessarily confusing, but there is no question.
No, it's meant to be confusing, so you don't understand, and you just be like, I trust this guy. He got a fancy title, Chairman of the Council of Economics. He must know what he's talking about.
That the government prints money, and then it uses that money to yeah, I guess I can't really talk.
Hey, he's confused himself. He's confused himself. And he's supposed to be in charge of advising President Joe Biden on how to run the economy, how to, I don't know, function, work the economy. Isn't it no wonder we're dealing with inflation right now? Is it no wonder? If a guy who's struggling to explain why we print money in the first place, is it any wonder why we're so financially irresponsible? I bet you Republicans hire him too. These are the people who advise our government. Incompetent people. Right? But end of the day, like I said, we're a republic, right? And what a republic is, these are our representatives, and these representatives are what? Elected. So who's more at fault? Them or us? Because they'll tell us what we want to hear. Oh, we can print money, we can afford everything, and it won't negatively affect us. Everyone cheers. Oh my God, he's able to fund the economy. It's just the Republicans don't want to, because the Republicans understand, there's gonna be a long-term cost that's gonna come with printing free money. But people don't care. People want to hear what they want to hear. Oh, you telling me I can get this car for free? I can get a Lambo for free, no strings attached? That's a dream scenario. The politicians got good at selling dreams to the American people. And the reality is we got nothing but nightmares.
I don't get it. I don't know what they're talking about. Because it's like the government clearly prints money. It does it all the time, and it clearly borrows. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this debt and deficit conversation. So I don't think there's anything confusing there.
Nothing confusing? Okay? There's no way this can be real. No way. No way. No way. Senior advisor to the president, right? This should scare us. This should scare the American people. I want everyone to watch that video. That should scare us. That someone who says he's a senior advisor to the president, struggling to explain how it's a good thing for us to print more money against ourselves, and why the government can do it, and why the government should do it. America, we got to get past the world of words, right? We got to get tired of politicians saying we can immigrate all these people and it won't negatively affect our economy. Actually, it'll make our economy better. But let's look at the patterns. Let's look at the results. Wages are down, right? Crime rises up. What? You can't deny the correlation. Illegal immigrants come into a country, the first thing they do is break into the country. Imagine someone saying, hey, I'm a guest to your house. I'm an uninvited guest to your house. The first action I do as a guest in your house is break into your door so I can be in your couch. You're going to be like, yo, get the F out of my couch. Hey, get the F out of my country. What are you doing? You couldn't wait in line. You couldn't ring my doorbell and wait for me to accept you in, to verify who you are. To know, hey, what's your intentions of showing up in my door? Oh, you're here to sell me a water cooler? I don't want it. I'm good. AKA, oh, you're a criminal in Venezuela? You committed how many crimes? Oh, no, we can't have you in our country. You're going to act a fool up in here. You're going to put my people at risk. This is the problem I have with a lot of people on the left. They think asylum is a right. Asylum is not a human right. Because at the end of the day, it's up to the consent of the country whether they want to accept you or not. You can't deny that consent to someone. Imagine you force yourself into someone's space. Everyone will say, yo, that person is in their right to kick you out. But when it comes to a country, because a lot of people are so far away from the problem, they're like, no, you should do it. But if you put a liberal in the same position, Martha's Vineyard, they quit. They're the first people to kick them out. 50 migrants showed up at Martha's Vineyard. They went back the same day. Not even an hour, I think. 30 minutes, those people were gone. But then they expect thousands, hundreds, millions of people who go through the Texas border at El Paso. Oh, Texas got to take care of them. Texas is like, all right, Sanctuary City, Chicago. Sanctuary City, New York. Sanctuary City, Seattle. We sending them over there. Now they complaining about the problem. Oh my God, they're doing divisiveness. No, we're holding you accountable for what you said. You said, hey, we shouldn't deny anybody. We should accept everyone. Okay, you made your bed, lay in it now. Live by what you preach. Practice what you preach. Here you go. Texas just saying, okay, you can help us out then. Now they mad. We're supposed to be united as a country. Okay, you said you want these people. I don't want these people. I'm doing what you want. Here you go. Texas going, here you go. Brandon Johnson mad. Black people finally understanding what white Americans been saying about illegal immigration. Because black people thought, oh, we're far away from the problem. Then black people wising up and they say, damn, you're replacing us. You're replacing us with these migrants. You're giving these migrants all these free tax dollars, all this tax support. What about us? Now they starting to feel like what white American felt like. And it's sad to say that people don't understand something until it personally happens to them. That's the reality of human nature, it seems like. No one will be able to understand a problem until it directly happens to them. That's why I said Joe Biden's presidency is a blessing. As a Stoic, guys, the Stoic philosophies, right? Nothing that happens to you is good or bad. It just is. The obstacle is the way. Every bad thing that happened to you, you must accept it as if you wanted it to happen. AKA, find the silver lining. The silver lining to Joe Biden's presidency. Why I am grateful that Joe Biden is the president of the United States is people got to live. People got to make their bed and they got to sleep in it. For 2020, the Democrats tolerated the extreme violence from their side. BLM riots, Chaz, destroying property, killing people. BLM riots killed more people than January 6th. But January 6th is supposed to be the biggest boogeyman in our history. But BLM swept under the rug when there was more property damage. Look it up, record. Quiet. No one talks about it because the mainstream media is biased for the left. That's a fact. They want to pretend, oh no, peaceful. It was most fiery, but mostly peaceful. I can say the same thing about January 6th. Oh, it is. The BLM stopped being peaceful because the police were so confrontational and aggressive with the protesters. That's why the protesters got agitated and it spiraled into a riot. I can say the same argument for January 6th. But January 6th is held at a different standard than BLM, than Chaz, where people were getting killed. Ambulance was being stopped for helping people in Chaz. They created a whole zone where the government had no jurisdiction in. But that's not the same thing as January 6th. Make it make sense. And now, 2024, Joe Biden's reaping what he sowed. College campuses, these far left extremists, blocking people, making life hard for college students, attacking Jewish people. Just like these same far leftists attack conservative speakers. All I got to do is show you a video of Kyle Rittenhouse. I did a video on Kyle Rittenhouse. Boy is innocent. Video evidence of him defending himself after he got attacked by a random group of white liberals, white leftists. Yeah, I say white because black people still think he shot black people when not a single black person had died at the hands of Kyle Rittenhouse. But black people hate him so much. I don't understand why. Make it make sense. Now, Jewish people, they see it. When white people were saying, yo, there's a lot of anti-identity bias in college campuses. Jewish people are, oh, you're exaggerating. We have to debate them respectfully. Jewish billionaires still donating to these colleges. Then they turn that ire from the white community to the Jewish community. The same talking points they were saying about the white community. Oh, all the people in positions of power are white. Then they did you in Hollywood. Oh my God, all the people in the positions of Hollywood are Jewish. Suddenly Jewish people think they're oh my God, they're anti-Semitism. They're coming for us. They're threatening our existence. Literally, you're getting the same critique that white America was getting for decades. You donated money. You put money behind it. Now they turn their ire to you. Oh, now you understand. Now you see it. Now you see the extremism. Now you see that there needs to be accountability held on these college students. Now you see it. How long the conservatives been complaining about left-wing bias dominating colleges, fostering a culture of extremism and radicalism? Quiet, but it finally hit the right people, and now it's an uproar. Now people complaining. Now people recognize the problem in education. Charlie Kirk made a book long ago. I talk about the book. The college scam. Finally they recognize the wrath and the problems. Like I said, it seemed like people don't care about a problem until it personally affects them. Then they pretend they're some special victim. Now they're trying to pass bills where if you criticize someone of a certain identity, you're anti them. You can't even criticize the person's government without being slandered as anti them, anti identity, anti black, anti Jewish. Imagine that. Same playbook. You criticize me, or you calling me anti-Semitic? You're a racist. How you assume I'm anti-Semitic? Because I'm black? Craziness. They're literally doing the same. I just care about consistency. That's all I care about. You allow it to happen to one side, don't get mad now it's happening to you. That's what they say. If you don't stand up from injustice, eventually injustice will come for you. And that's what's happening right here. Now the left had created a Frankenstein monster that they can no longer control. And now they're scared, which I covered the video today, that they're scared that it's galvanizing Americans to vote Republican. Because they're like, yo, Democrats created this mess. Democrats said that if we voted for Joe Biden, we're going to return to normal. The lie detector has come in, and that was proven that was a lie. That's why I'm grateful that Joe Biden is president of the United States in 2024. Because people got to experience contrast between someone who says bad things, but their actions do good things, versus someone who says good things, but their action creates bad things, creates bad results. Because people sit here and pretend, oh, I vote with logic. I vote based on policy. I vote based on results. Okay, results are in. Let's see what you guys are going to pick, America. Because honestly, 2024 may be one of the most important events in U.S. history. Because the American people, it's no longer hyperbole. Like you don't, with other political races in the past, you got to be like, okay, you had to vote based on speculation. Okay, what they might do, what they're going to do, how they're going to do it. This, you're voting based on reality. Was my life better with Trump or with Biden? Poll says, everyone says Trump. 55% says Trump. No one likes the economy Joe Biden's in. And then you got Nancy Pelosi being an apologist for Joe Biden, calling people who highlight the fact that a lot of the jobs that Joe Biden gained was jobs coming back from COVID. But you want to play like, no, we did that. When it's bad, blame Trump. When it's good, take credit. So I wanted to highlight something, something I wish would happen here. El Salvador, this is why I love sovereign nations, because I believe that one of the reasons why I'm against a world government, world order, is that it fosters some form of hegemony. And hegemony is not necessarily bad, but it fosters people from deviating from a collective. It's a form of collectivism that I can't really, I feel like it's too collectivist, because you get to see how different people do different things, and based on the results, you'd be like, hey, We should do more law and order because look at the good results that El Salvador got. Nabin, I don't know how to say his name, sorry if I butcher it, gathered every single official in the executive branch of his government and then announced a surprise. He asked the attorney general to investigate all of them for bribery. This is how you reform a country. And I believe this is what a lot of conservatives see Trump. Trump as, hey, look, Trump has incentive to do this because the people who, it's like Trump is like a drama where, you know, they're both bad, but you know, the bad guy, the least bad guy, he has it out for the other bad guys. And you know that if he gets out the other bad guys, everyone's better for it. That's how we see Trump right now. We don't care if you show him, oh, he grabbed them by the you know what. Because the purpose of Trump is, yo, he's a wrecking ball. Hey, keep bringing him a motive against you. Mainstream media, they're crying. They're scared. Trump will come after government officials. Everybody said, music to my ears. Yo, 2020, no. America, I honestly believe this is a protest election, bro. You protested, you thought you knew better, right? You thought you could trust the Democrats, but then you found out they're liars. They're exaggerators. Trump is a threat to democracy. Trump is a Nazi. And then when you look what actual Nazis did, you'll be like, that's not Trump. When you look at actual authoritarians, you look at Trump, you say, that's not Trump. Exaggerators, because Democrats got nothing positive to run on. That's the reality. But I digress. I'll let this video play out, and we'll look into some insights of what I would want more politicians to be like. Like, I regret every day that we don't have politicians that actually care about their country, because this is what a politician look like when he actually care about his country. Let's take a look.
Como pueden ver ustedes todos, los que estamos aquí reunidos son parte del Ejecutivo, del órgano ejecutivo, que es el del cual yo estoy encargado, a excepción de una persona. Es el fiscal general que está aquí. Él no es del Ejecutivo. Y está acá por una razón bien sencilla. Y es porque le quiero pedir en público de que investiguemos a todos los que están acá.
Imagine that. A president publicly, hey, we're going to hold your feet to the fire. I want you to investigate everyone in this room. Publicly, put them on the spot, hot seat. Imagine someone pulled this card in American politics. What would happen right now? Great. What would happen? We already know inside trading happens, right? We know there's websites that track Nancy Pelosi's stock picks. Because she seems to do a lot better than a lot of people on Wall Street who get paid to do that. She do investing as a part-time and she's doing better than Wall Street. Crazy. Nancy Pelosi. And based on what that interview she did, she don't sound too smart to me. But hey, for some reason, she got a good track record when it comes to those stock markets. This is how you clean up a government, bro. Honestly, man, call me a dreamer. Maybe I'm just, like, this is where I become so idealistic. I just think it's what drives me to continue fighting for something different. Like, keep making these videos, keep trying to, give my perspective, get it challenge someone. Hopefully it's eye-opening for some people. What would happen if we had an idealist as president? Trump, I feel like Trump is some flavor of that. I think Vivek is like the future of that. I think in the future, from the conservative, Republican, the new right, I like to call it, the new right. I say I'm part of the new right because I can't relate to the old right. The new right, the Vivek right, the American First right, it's a nationalist party. Nationalist conservatism is making a comeback. What is in the best interest of our country? Is it in the best interest of our country to be at war right now? To spread ourselves thin against two fronts, possibly a third front with Taiwan? Is it smart to do that? Is it smart to make 100% of the American people's tax dollars pay for a 63 trillion? Sorry, I added too much zeros. A $63 billion foreign aid package for Israel when none of it is benefiting the American people? Imagine that. Imagine you paid 100% of something to get no benefit from it. Make it make sense. But that's what our government is doing. That's what our government is doing. How is that conservative? How is it conservative for a father to spend more resources on a family that's not his family? How's it responsible for a conservative to spend more money on a country that's not his country, that's not benefiting his people? Is Israel protecting America from some great threat? No. The only way I'll respect or I can get behind America sending money to Israel, if you told me Israel was an American colony. That's the only way I'm gonna accept foreign aid going to Israel. Israel, revoke your stateship, announce yourself as an American colony, and me as an American will support sending money over there, because then at least I'll see it as my country. Okay, it's my country. Is this what, is that the hidden meaning of foreign aid package for Israel? Because last time I checked, when someone's your ally, they actually help you with stuff. Maybe they give us foreign intelligence. I don't know what it is. But when's the last time Israel passed a bill and they sent us foreign aid? Hey, we have this nice, beautiful dome because of what America sent us. Here's a little gratitude for your foreign aid, America. We signed a $10 billion foreign aid package to send money to America. That's how I see an ally. You help me, I help you. But this one directional, I'm giving you all this value, all this money. And you're like, oh, I'll do you a favor. Oh, look what I made for, like, what's the benefit here? That's why I'm starting to think that foreign aid is really a money laundering scheme out here. Backdoor deals are being cut. Oh, you give us this favored deal on our end, and we'll extract your back in some backhanded way. Like, I don't understand, man. That's why I say I would respect this. If Trump did something like this, investigate them all. I'll be 100% for it, because I think that's what needs to happen, man. I think there's a lot of conflicts of interest in our government that is causing us to go in spiraling out of control to the point where literally we're leading the country to destruction. Western society is literally dying, unrecognizable. Why you keep immigrating people to the point where you're essentially importing another culture into your country to dominate? Now you got far leftists praying to Allah. Craziness. If you're not willing to stand up for your culture, you'll fall for anything. And this is what's going on in our culture. This is why conservatism is needed more than ever. But people want to pretend, no, it's not. Because at the end of the day, a critic never gets anything done. And that's what a liberal is. A liberal is nothing but a critic. He don't get nothing done. Now you can say conservatives are white knights. They like to protect institutions. They like to defend tradition. But traditions are ideas that withstand the test of time. Tradition are ideas that have been tested time after time after time. And they've shown themselves to be durable ideas. Because the reality is, and this is based on my personal observation, maybe some people will disagree with me, most new ideas are bad. 80% of new ideas are bad. That's my calculus. So when people come out, oh, I got this brand new idea. Men aren't actually men and women aren't actually women. I'm like, that's not like a dumb idea. Like, make it make sense. Most new businesses fail. If you look at I think the stock market, a lot of these businesses that's still in the stock market, they've been around for decades. Some centuries. I think American Express has been around for 185 years. Craziness. Some crazy ish like that. 135 years. Maybe I'm overcalculating. But you expect me to believe, oh, some new ideas is going to be successful. Trust me, bro. No, most new businesses fail. Most new ideas don't work. But in politics, anything that sounds feasible, we want to go for it. Because we're so focused on the desirability of a policy instead of the results, the possibility of a policy, the feasibility of a policy. I don't know, man. Let's listen to, I want to hear more of this situation and how this plays out.
Para atrás y para adelante. Yo me imagino que pues no hay ningún problema, ¿no? Hay una persona que me dijo una vez, mire, ¿y tú no le temes a la muerte? Yo le dije, no, pues claro, nadie se quiere morir. Yo no me quiero morir, pero yo sé que me voy a morir algún día, como todos. Si hay algo que no se puede escapar es de la muerte. Todos los que estamos aquí en 100 años, pues, no va a haber nadie vivo. Nadie. Ninguno de los que estamos aquí, pero más probable es que nadie sabe cómo se llama el papá del abuelo de uno. Pero hay algo que yo sí le tengo miedo, y es a dejar un mal legado.
And
Y hay
that's what
presidentes,
and that's what our government lacks. They don't care about leaving a bad legacy. All they care about is, hey, did my family get rich? Did I make money? Did I extract as much resources from the American people as I can, as this country is spending itself to oblivion, overextending itself to the point of weakness? Last time I checked, humans suck at multitasking. There's studies proving it that you're less efficient at a task when you're multitasking. But for some strange reason in politics, science don't matter. When the science say what you don't want it to say, you don't want to listen to it. That's politics. You stretching yourself with Ukraine, Israel, right? And then God forbid China attacks Taiwan. You're doing 3 battles. Yo, they said, no, what? There's no. If I was a villain in a movie, and my biggest thorn in my side was fighting 3 wars, had to pay attention to 3 different conflicts, I'll be like, there's no way in hell they have enough weapons to protect themselves against a direct attack. How is leaving America vulnerable to a direct attack beneficial for the 3 countries that need America's aid? Like, make it make sense. It's the same issue with NATO. But this is what happens when you have politicians that they only know how to say sweet nothings to a populace that's not fully paying attention. We're distracted by a bunch of stuff. Identity politics being the number one. Identity politics is the number one distraction. I think that's why I talk about it so much, because I want people to break free from this idea that you have to see color. This week, a UFC fighter was catching backlash from supposedly pro-black people because he don't want to raise his son as some caricature of what a black man is supposed to be. You ain't black. I remember hearing that all my life because I know how to talk proper English, standard English. I knew how to read and write. I wasn't scared to have good grades in school and be called a nerd. That's black culture? To be ignorant? To be dumb? To be emotional? To be irrational? Unreasonable? To not respect authority? Is that black culture? Is that really going to say what you're going to say? Because I was taught that from my father. So now you going to call my father's blackness into question too? Like, and they good ideas are good ideas because they give you a good result, a favorable result. I show you, I tell you stats how people who do not speak the native tongue of a country have less economic prospects than those who do. So if you speak in Ebonics, you talk like this, shawty. What do you do, homie? Most people don't understand you unless they black. You limit your economic opportunities. Black people don't start businesses at the same rate as white people, Asians. So you have less economic opportunities with black people. Facts. This is reality. So instead of playing the game, instead of being competitive, black people want socialism, communism. This is why a lot of black people tend to gravitate to Marxism, because they don't want to compete in capitalism. When it comes to basketball, they want to be competitive. They want to be the best. But they don't want to take that same competitiveness into capitalism, starting businesses, being financially responsible, making sacrifices. Nah. Instant gratification is what's killing the black community. They want everything now. They want reparations now. They want your reparations yesterday. They want change now. The change ain't happen fast enough. Oh no, y'all bullshitting us. Not understanding that black people didn't get this way in 1 year. They got this way in 50, 60, 70 years it took for the black community to end up in the situation it is now. You have to sacrifice now so the future generations can benefit off of a shade that you will never know. Martin Luther King did that. Right? Many blacks before us did that. Booker T. Washington did that. Now you're benefiting from it. Now you want to go retroactively and say, okay, for all the things they didn't get, I want it now. when you didn't suffer it. Just like they suffered and they don't get none of the benefits of the rights that we take advantage of today as Black Americans in 2024. But you pretend that you're owed something. Make that make sense. Now in this video, final video before I end the stream, why American silence helped Biden and Obama destroy this country. This is Thomas Sowell. I'm gonna play about a minute uninterrupted, and then I'll give my piece. Let's go.
Stakes. Tom Sowell this past summer, quote, "The America that has flourished for more than 2 centuries is being quietly but steadily dismantled by the Obama administration," close quote. Now you note the way the Obama administration has used executive orders to waive provisions in the No Child Left Behind Act and to repeal, your word, the legal requirement that welfare recipients must work. He's the president, Tom. Doesn't he get to make adjustments in this law or that law?
Well, he didn't. The oath that he took of office was that he would faithfully execute the laws. Now, I don't think they meant execute in the same way that the mafia means it.
Thomas Sowell on Obamacare. Quote, "Obamacare imposes huge costs on some institutions, while the president's waivers exempt other institutions from having to pay those same costs. The law says you've got to do this, and over here we have the Secretary of Health and Human Services granting a waiver to this person or that entity, or this waiver's taking place over here." Well,
it's the same game that Gavin Newsom played with the minimum wage laws that he passed in California, right? Certain companies that he was in cahoots with, possibly people who donated a lot of money to him. He's like, yo, I waived the minimum wage requirement off of your companies, but for some, no, everyone got to play by these rules. That's what the Democratic Party is using the government as a mechanism to control the scale. They want to put their thumb on the scale. Oh, you're my political enemy. I want to make it harder for you to be successful. Oh, you're my political ally. I want to make it easier for you to succeed. This is what affirmative action is. Hey, black people, I know you disproportionately vote for Democrats. Or you know the most loyal Democratic base. Let's give you a handout. Let's give you economic opportunities, right? Let's make anti-black a thing in education. Anti-racism. We're gonna make you a millionaire, hustling on things that most black people already feel and know about being black in America. But you need to make it into a book and teach white liberals who have a negative bias against their own group of people. Make it make sense. These anti-racist people, these fake pro-blacks, right? Because they'll say, what's his name? Abram X. Kennedy is more black than me, right? Oh, mostly white people gonna agree with you, Kenny. Well, mostly white people buy Abram X. Kennedy's book. Why you ain't calling him a coon? Crickets. I love it. This is funny. This is hilarious to me. And it goes to show, like, yo, this is why I don't want to stay silent anymore. Like, this is why I think I want to speak and give my opinion and give my angle. I don't care if I don't become popular. I don't give a damn. I don't care about views. If I cared about views, I would have stopped a long time ago if you see my channel. But I don't. I'm just like, yo, look, I have something to say. I'm going to say it to those who are willing to listen and hear. It takes off. Oh, well. It don't. Oh, well. I'm not making money out of this anyway. To me, this is my public service. Because if America stays silent, you're continually helping this country get destroyed. Right? Have your views seen. Have your views challenged. Have your views heard. And because that's the only way we get closer to the truth. Like I said, I bet you if you put 2 studies, a group of people only hear one perspective, either side. And the second group hears a perspective from both sides. The one that listens to a debate, I bet you there'll be a more knowledgeable group, a more educated group, and a more informed group. And I think this is why many people are tired of mainstream media. This is why people hate digital media, because they know digital media is overwhelmingly ran by liberals and leftists. That's why only Democrats trust the mainstream media. This is why Democrats only trust digital news. Why Democrats trust journalists? Because Democrats will block, unfriend, or disassociate. They're more likely to disassociate, block, or unfriend somebody who has political opposite views of themselves. But this is the same people who claim about them being tolerant, them respecting people's differences. Cap. Like, this is why I say we need tough love. We need to call these people out. We need to hold these people accountable, because if we keep letting them talk reckless out of the mouth, you see the college campus situation. Don't let a liberal get full of himself, bro. They're already condescending as enough as it is. But if they don't get no pushback, they get even more emboldened. This is why they love censorship so much. I digress, though. I'll let this play out another minute, and then I'll wrap up this stream.
It's legal. Nobody seems to have sued them for that.
One of the great problems is that people do not react. I mean, when all is said and done, the Constitution of the United States is a set of words on pieces of paper. The only way that the Constitution can protect us is if we protect the Constitution. If we rise up and revolt, if we vote out of office people who violate the Constitution, then, of course, it will mean something.
That's what I'm talking about, like holding politicians accountable. It can't be, you did something that the populace didn't like, and then the game becomes, okay, let's condition the populace to like certain things and appease to that. That's what education is all about. Social engineering, that's all about. If you are taught to have a certain perspective, green energy, all of a sudden we're talking about green energy. Everyone cares about green energy. When green energy has been a talking point for 60 years, but they kept going over and over and over again, and eventually it became something that people claim they care about. Now politicians speak on that. You see the game that's happening right here? This is why they don't teach you about the Constitution, because they don't want you to care about the Constitution. This is why they try to say, Constitution is an outdated document, when the very purpose of the Constitution is slow incremental change, not radical change. Radicals hate the Constitution because radicals know they're not good at persuasion. They love force, though. Radicals love to use force. Isn't that what the college protesters are doing? No one's listening to them, so what do? They get in your face. They get in your way. They make life hard for you on college campus, so you have to pay attention to them. So you have to listen to their demands. That's the game of radicals, extremists. But they have the goal to point at the right and say, oh my God, political violence is coming from the far right. They have all these groups to monitor far right extremism in the country, but you can't find a single group that's monitoring left-wing extremism when left-wing extremism is more prominent than far right extremism. I'm just saying. Because the far left get away with a lot more. Show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome. If a far leftist know I can break property, destroy, I can have record-breaking destruction of property, steal stuff from Target, and I don't get held accountable, are you disincentivizing the behavior or are you incentivizing the behavior? January 6th, the first right-wing protest, a riot that I can remember in decent memory, happened one time. How you reacted to that? You think it's going to happen again? You disincentivize the right from protesting, or you incentivize the right to protest? You disincentivize the right to protest. The right ain't going to, it's going to be hard to find another January 6th, but look how easy it seems to be able to find another BLM, Antifa. And this is the newest rendition in the college campuses, further exposing how extremist that the Democratic Party has become. And then when I make a video about it, you want to say that, I'm part of a mega cult. When you look at the protest on these college campuses, do I look like a cultist to you? Or do those college students who are protesting against America because they're supporting Israel, who is technically our ally? So it's supposed, in the realm of possibilities, hey, if an ally's in trouble, we'll help them. But to me, I'm like, Gaza ain't that much of a threat for us to have direct aid to Israel. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm trying to say. Israel can flatten Gaza without the Americans' help. But you want our money for some reason? Huh? How make that make sense? And then you want to get mad when Americans want to comment on the war when our money is funding, helping you, like it's funding the war. Like, make it make sense. This is why I can't stand pro-Israel people sometimes. You want to get mad at an American is critiquing and talking about a conflict that's happening in foreign soil when their money is being used to support your side's conflict on the war. And this is just my thoughts. But I think the hostages are already dead. This is why Hamas doesn't want to give them up, because they're dead. And once Israel find it out, they're going to flatten Gaza, right? Because that's the only thing that's saving Gaza from really getting destroyed by Israel, because they have hostages. When I'm thinking, At this point, they had to be feeding these hostages. They got to be keeping these hostages alive. What are the possibility that a lot of these hostages are dead already? I think those possibilities are high. I think when we look back, we're going to recognize that, the hostages were been dead, but the idea of them being alive is what kept us from really being quick and decisive with Hamas. I think that's what's going on here. It's a bit to buy time, because if Israel find out the truth right now and there's no hostages that are alive, they're gone. So I honestly see this is Hamas buying time. That's why they don't want to release the hostages, because the hostages might already be dead. Just a theory I have in my head. You can call me conspiracy theory, but conspiracy theorist is pretty much someone who has an idea or not a theory, but an idea that is not yet proven in reality. I think that's what a conspiracy theorist is. But this is what happens if we stay silent. If I don't make this point, would someone with a bigger following ever make that point? I don't think so. Hey, what if the Gazan hostages are already dead? Is this a way for Hamas to buy more time to get support from Iran? Has anyone even thought that far? Or we're so focused on the emotion of it. Oh, I'm right. No, I'm right. I don't give a damn. All I know is my money that could have been used for domestic issues here at home is being used for a foreign conflict that doesn't benefit or it doesn't really benefit me. But I'm paying 100% of it. And then once you flatten Gaza to eliminate Hamas, a new Hamas will come out who's even more radical than the last one. And you want me to spend money for that one too? Hey, look, there's a lot of political motives for why governments do the things that they do. But those tasks become easier when a populace is silent, aloof, unvigilant, right? Benjamin Franklin warned us about this. It's a republic if you can keep it. John Adams, I believe, is saying it requires a righteous and intelligent people. You must watch your government like a hawk. So when they step its bounds, the people can put it in check. I think we're well past that point, but we can make an effort to push them back. And I think it has to start with small steps, small conversations. And I think this election will prove to me, or I guess give me this running theory on where the American people is actually at. Are we going to prove these political elites wrong that, hey, all you got to do is spin a narrative. All you got to do is repeat a lie often enough until the populace believe it to be true? Or are we really self-determinate people? People who can think for themselves and be like, no, we passed the BS. And it seems like, look, there's a lot of signs pointing that that's the case. Most people said that Trump's economy was better than Biden's. Most people removing their viewership from mainstream media to the point that mainstream media is going to YouTube saying that you should only recommend videos from authoritative sources. The tide is turning, right? But it can easily, this momentum can easily get snuffed out if we continue to stay silent about it. And I think that's my video for today. I appreciate you guys watching to the end. I know it's been it's a late video, but I had a lot of stuff going on, finding new cars, spending time with my family, make sure my wife's okay, because physical therapy, I had a lot of stuff to do. So it was very inconvenient for me not to be able to make videos. And this is why I had to do the live stream so late. But I appreciate you guys for watching. Don't forget to like the live stream on your way out. I really appreciate you guys for watching to the end. And I hope you guys have a good weekend. And I hope to see you guys on the next live stream. I'll see you guys on Monday's video. Take care. Have a good night and peace.